The Asian Chinese Democratic, Association, basically, when we gave the endorsement to vote for him, we expect, some type of
follow through with the promises?
Something like that.
So you feel like it was just empty promises to obtain the Asian vote?
I'm going to use a phrase somebody else used. We got bamboozled.
Ooh. And
we got bamboozled.
That's how they feel about it?
Yes. I live in Chinatown.
Lucky Boys Podcast.
100 days, I will give this person, Mr. Adams, an F-.
He failed.
What?
He totally failed.
So you think he's worse than de Blasio? Or
if you, I'm looking at the camera. If you beat the crap out of him, he would be de Blasio.
What? What do you mean? Like
that's a street joke. If you beat the crap out of Adams, he would be de Blasio. Damn, is my joke that bad?
No. I don't think we can say that on camera, but
you're saying he's just as bad as him, but not as ugly?
He is de Blasio version 2.022.
They're besties. I heard that they were very cozy at this like government getaway. They were like buddy.
The one in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. One in Puerto Rico. So
and
I think it was a Democratic convention.
Yes.
DNC. The reason, there's a lot of things that I didn't vote for him. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you right now, I voted. It was not a good choice
for Curtis.
I was hoping that this would be for Curtis. Would be like a Giuliani redo.
We had Curtis on the podcast.
I met him the one time that when we were on Times Square when we were doing the Virgil. It was an I think for Christina, whatever it was. I actually shook his hand and said, I voted for you. I was hoping that he would be like the Giuliani 2.0. Because what happened was during the time when Giuliani got voted into the office, a lot of people don't understand how the hell he got into the office. But I also know, being, working up in Harlem and the Bronx for the last 13 years, all the seniors, the black and brown grandparents and the grandmothers, they said, you know what? It's not a matter of liking him. We needed somebody to clean the streets. I'm tired of seeing my kids in the neighborhood getting shot at. Nobody wants to, blame. It's like those guns did not come into my neighborhood for any reason. The people who are killing my kids, they look like me, and these are all seniors.
Well,
all the grandmothers and the grandparents.
The 61-year-old grandma that got shot.
Right, and the situation
and where was that, in the Bronx?
No, hang on. I'm looking at the camera right now. You're 8 years as a borough president in Brooklyn. And these are all happening in your borough that you were borough president for 8 years. All right? So the thing is, if you've been the borough president in Brooklyn and you know your Brooklyn borough, unless you live in Newark, the other apartment that you allegedly claim that you're living in, why haven't you have a strategy that you've been looking at for 8 years before you plan to be a mayor?
Okay, let's pull this back a little bit. Let's talk about homelessness.
Yes.
I mean, you see people doing drugs, shooting up their arms, and this was very reminiscent of the 90s.
But, and the 70s.
Yeah, and the 80s, right? So when I walk around 7th Avenue now, New York City, they cleaned it up.
So I was actually on my block. My block was like, most recently, yes, a lot of homeless people, but I was there a couple weeks ago, and there was no homeless. So I don't know if it was the policies that have filtered all the homeless from the street.
You see the police officers actually removing them from the encampment that they set up on the street. And the truth is, it's dangerous because you get people that are, and I understand these people need a place to live and shelter and whatnot and care, and they're afraid of going into some of these homeless shelters because they're saying that in itself is just like a glorified jail. They don't feel safe there. But at the same time, you can't be hanging on the sidewalk because people that are walking by, they don't feel safe either because of what's been happening with all these innocent people been attacked by quote unquote homeless people with mental illnesses.
Is he sweeping the homeless to another area because he's not fixing it? What you just said right there, the shelters are not safe, period. So you have to remember the source of the problem. the Department of Homeless Services. There is a department. So everybody knows, every single human social services and every single community-based organization, nonprofit organization that advocate for homeless, they all know the homeless shelters are not safe. So why don't the mayor go to the Department of Homeless Services and look at the department? Why aren't your shelters safe? Why are you not hiring proper security? Why are your protocols not being looked at? Why are you not reevaluating?
I understand all that, but the streets aren't safe right now. A lot of people don't feel safe being around the streets. And before we can fix that problem, I think you have to fix the problem of the crime going up year over year.
That's one layer of the situation.
And it appears that he is taking steps, and I'm trying to be unbiased here.
Okay.
Right? But it appears that he is trying to put in steps to reduce the crime rate in New York City so that people will feel safe coming back. People are going back into the office. People are coming back from other areas where they left for the pandemic. But a lot of people still haven't.
Shootings involved with illegal firearms. Majority have happened in Brooklyn, in his own backyard, where he was the borough president for the last 8 years. So we're also dealing with areas that within the local communities where all the crime rates are now shooting with teenagers with illegal firearms. And as an ex-police retired NYPD officer, he should have at least know how to handle certain situations with gangs and gun violence, and where innocent people right now are being, killed or harmed or injured during crossfire that has nothing to do with them.
But didn't he set up a meeting with President Biden where he's asking for support and help to limit and restrict the trafficking of guns into New York City?
That's looking at the outside of the Venn diagram. Right now, when you want to get rid of the existing guns and the illegal criminals with these guns in your city, how many captains can come up to you and talk to the police commissioner and say, this is my precinct, 68 Brooklyn as an example. I have X amount of this. I have officers on the street. I've seen gang activities. If you're going to be, working with crime and working with districts, the first thing wouldn't you want to do is go to the precinct in that area with the highest crime and ask the captain of that precinct, what are your men? What are your officers, not men, what are your officers are doing?
Wasn't there a big gang raid in the Bronx recently where they arrested a bunch of folks?
I thought the MS-13 was the Long Island thing that happened with all of that.
No, I think there was a big gang raid in the Bronx.
They were collecting guns off of that.
Yeah. I mean, I just, the stuff that I'm seeing, I just think that, yes, it sucks that crime is up and that people are afraid to even go to work. Okay? I get that. I don't know. I don't think it's Mayor Adams' fault as of now. I mean, it's only been 3 months.
I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm also got to say is if you're going to hold,
I think an F- is very harsh.
I mean, 3 months is not that long.
You're asking me for my, this is
of course.
The reason why I said that was the fact that when he came in and he came into Chinatown and he was in Brooklyn or all the other Chinatowns, and he made all of these, you got to remember it was what he said to get the Chinese and the Asian votes, and then the next thing to find out, everything else. I didn't give him the F overall because of that. I also gave him the F because of what is happening to the jail in Chinatown. I gave him the F as what's happening.
What did he say about the mega jail? He said that he wasn't going to build it, that he was going to stop it.
And also not to mention the fact that on the anti-Asian hate thing.
So what are your thoughts on Mayor Adams?
Well, I'll give Mayor Adams a C-. I mean, he's just been in office for 100 days. He had on the platform, he wanted to, address anti-Asian hate. He wanted to address homelessness. He did implement some policies that looks like it's going towards remedying or finding a solution towards those things. So He still has time. He still has time.
Why a C minus? Why 2 grades down?
2 grades down because he's not. Well, he hasn't He hasn't.
Isn't that up? You're giving him up, right? Because I'm the down. I'm F.
Well, I'm starting from an A.
Hey,
Okay. Damn.
I don't think.
I'm looking at it from an Asian grading system.
Well, I don't think off the jump he
look
could
at
get.
an A.
I don't think off the jump he can get an A. You know, so he can't start off as an A because
Why not? He could have a terrific 100 days. The honeymoon period, everyone could fall in love.
right, but he didn't.
Barack Obama, his first 3 months, everybody was giving him A's.
Yeah, but I guess we're coming from our lens, right? As part of the Asian
I
community.
gave Giuliani a B+.
Giuliani, first 100 days.
You have to remember, I didn't even like the guy. It was not mad. This is like, Godfather would say, yo, this is not personal. This is business. And he did.
It wasn't personal.
What he was. Yeah, he did what he. I voted for him because I wanted a mayor that can get things done. I don't want a mayor that can just talk about getting things done. I would much prefer somebody with an overall, with a tool belt, and just get in there.
So you feel Mayor Adams is all talk, no action?
So far for the 100 days.
Do you think he's facing a lot of bureaucracy within internally because he can't get these things in place?
You're the mayor. Get it done. Do the Johnson. You ever heard of that? When they called Lyndon Baines Johnson, when he did the Johnson treatment, it was actually called the Johnson treatment.
The president, Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yes. Yeah. If you're going to be in the position of power and authority, if you have power over the police commissioner, he does have power over the police commissioner runs all the rank and file in every single precinct in all 4 boroughs.
So you don't like what she's doing?
Just got here. I can't. It's subjective when it comes to law and order. You can't just you just can't do that. But the bottom line is, he himself, as a retired police officer, as a captain, 20 years in the city, he knows the ins and outs of NYPD. He knows the ins and outs of 1PP. Yet, don't you think if he's going to plan to be a mayor, he's got
1PP as being one police
plaza. Don't you think he would have at least a strategy to say, oh, by the way, when you vote for me as a mayor, as an ex-police retired NYPD officer, here are my plans of action, not talks of bullshit.
So do you feel the people in the Asian community aren't really embracing him? Like they were grade him in a similar, fashion from an F to a C?
They were hoping that he would provide solutions for the Asian community and also to give, to keep his word. No, because the bottom line is his agenda is, pretty much like everything in the media. So far, everything is, the narrative in the city is like black and brown. And even the Rainbow neighborhood was being neglected when there was certain, I think, candidates that he hired that have issues with the LGBTQ. And, being my color yellow, I'm part of that rainbow. And the thing is, we're being, overlooked. And we promise, the Asian Chinese Democratic, Association, basically, when we gave the endorsement to vote for him, we expect, some type of
follow through with the promises?
Something like that.
So you feel like it was just empty promises to obtain the Asian vote?
I'm going to use a phrase somebody else used. We got bamboozled.
Ooh. And
we got bamboozled.
That's how they feel about it?
Yes. I live in Chinatown.
Lucky Boys Podcast.